Hi guys, and welcome to today's Modded Monday. I'm as always your Rookie Rook, and today we are going to be doing a Let's Build. The Let's Build today is going to be my own base in Divine RPG, so let's get on with it, shall we? As you can see here guys, what I'm currently doing is I am terraforming the area around this tree. I've already selected some woods and some different types of stairs that I want to use, or that I think I might want to use at some point in the build process, but I'm not quite sure yet, as I've not really made a plan in my head. I always find that the best creations come from not planning. What I've started to do here is I've started to try to lay down a slab type system to make stairs instead of placing down stairs already. I quickly see, as you'll see in a minute, that this becomes very complicated as I'm trying to make an upward spiral. It's not that I can't make upward spirals, it's just that it gets very complicated very quickly, and there's no real point in making them. It makes the whole thing look a bit hashed, but I seem to recover it quite quickly, and I seem to sort of learn from my mistakes pretty well. I'll probably use slabs at some point later on, but in this point in the build process, it was just entirely pointless, and it was just not a waste of resources, but it was just a waste of time. So as I said before, you can see me now dismantling everything, just in preparation to make a normal staircase, which I use jungle wood stairs and dirt blocks. I like the look of the dirt blocks as it sort of camouflages against the floor below, and it gives a nice illusion that there is something there, but it isn't at all. I also decided to try out corner block stairs at this point, but decided against it very quickly again. As you can see here, I'm starting to build a 4x3 platform, but upon looking on it with a bit of closer inspection, it doesn't really suit and it doesn't really fit. So what I decided to do is just continue up with the 3x3 platform and then just place the stairs in sets of 3 going up the side of the tree, as it looks much nicer along that point. I also very much like the way that I myself have used jungle stairs instead of normal other coloured stairs, as it kind of fits in and suits the environment, being as we are building our base in a tree. Again, I placed them down incorrectly, but it's very quickly resolved and very easily done. This base that's going to be here will become permanent residence during my series, so expect to see a lot of it, which is why I'm taking a lot of time and I'm spending time doing it. It's something that's close to me, and I always think that a base in Minecraft makes something for you, and it makes it your own and your very own. So here we see that I've started to actually terraform the tree. The staircase is finished and it's looking quite nice for what it is at the moment. But I've started terraforming the tree, and I've started making the tree look how I think the tree would look naturally, but it's being not naturally recreated, but man-made and recreated in sort of my own image. I do at some point extend it out, as I'm about to start doing now. This is just simply going to make the basis of the platform for the house. So basically, the bigger that the tree is, the bigger that I can make the house, really. I do decide on sort of the size of it, but also I change the time of day here to make it easier for you guys to see. So here we have the tree slowly being generated and made a little bit bigger at the time. I decided to extend it quite large on each side. So this is the base platform completely finished, and what I'm going to decide on now is whether or not it's sort of the right shape and the right size for the house, which I do here, and now I start looking for woods. The particular wood that I'm about to pick is called yellow wood, and it's found in one of the dimensions that you will see me go to. It's the first dimension after the nether, called Dravite. Now, Dravite contains lots of other mobs and enemies, and I know that I haven't been there, and I've been trying not to use things from different dimensions where I haven't been, but in this case, I'm using Dravite and cobblestone to create nice pillars and sort of a nice base format for my house, just to make it look a little bit nicer. So you see that this yellow wood from Dravite is very, very yellow indeed, but it just adds a little bit more of an edge and a spice, and I decide that the underneath of the tree that I've already chopped down also needs to be terraformed as well. It just makes it all look a little bit nicer, and it makes it more consistent, and along with it makes it look more natural in my eyes. Even though that I'm going to be putting a massive base on, I like to have everything very ergonomic and very man-made and nature together. It's one of those kinds of things that I enjoy building when I'm building. So shortly after finishing terraforming, you can see that I start to finish the foundations, and then I start to put on pillars which will give me a height as to what the next floor is going to be, which is going to be where my bedroom is going to be and where I'm going to keep most of the chests and other areas in there. I just have a look around at the surrounding area just to see if there are any better places, but I sort of decide that the tree that I'm building in at the moment is much nicer. I also decide against going for the second floor with yellow wood and instead go for a much nicer coloured jungle wood, which is more natural and much more easy to procure if I was going to do this legitimately. I am currently doing this in creative mode, but that's simply because I needed a nice base somewhere that was going to work and that I could quickly set up and make for myself, but make it quick enough and with the correct materials that if I were to try to recreate this IRL and with the actual resources, I would be able to do it. So here we can see is the basic skeleton of our base now, and I'm going to start putting stairs up into the next floor. I decide again on the jungle wood stairs and just start placing them up on the leaves. I'll come back later on and I'll take those leaves away because I want to put glass panes in there, but that's not for now. They're simply just a placeholder in case I want something else. So I start knocking out this section of wood and start putting this large monolith shaped sort of side piece on, and if you've seen any of my other servers or any of other recordings and stuff, I might have been to some of my houses in those servers. What I tend to do is I tend to make my mark on my own places of residence in Minecraft, and I like to put a nice stained glass area which I will set up at some point and you will see. But of course, for safety precautions, because safety first guys, I put some fence around just so that I don't fall in there like a goof later on while I'm playing, and I knock out the corner pieces just to make it look a little bit nicer. So what I'm about to do now is I'm about to continue on the next floor, and I just start to raise the cobblestone, but decide better of it and decide that what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend the edges out, the three edges out, and make this slightly bigger. What I'll then do is I will then take the jungle wood fence, or the fence that I've already got there, and I will make it come down as though the house itself is standing on stilts which are on the leaves. This will just give a nice illusionary effect, and it'll just make it look nice. As you can see, I just fly over just to check that everything's in proportion and everything's correct. So here you can see I'm now placing down the fences just to make it look a little bit nicer, just to make it look like it's actually standing on top of the tree kind of thing, and to make it as though it just gives it a nice illusion. I do then need to reproportion the leaves that I've already placed down, but it's not too much of an issue, and I just get on with that very quickly. So I've got one more side to do, but I start to continue on the next floor anyway. I will come back to that other side, but as you can see, I'll then just check around, just make sure that everything has been done, everything looks all together and looks all nice, and then what I'll do is I'll continue on the second floor. This is just the foundations, the basics of the second floor, and what I can do then from here is I can continue on upwards, and I can decide how big or how small the walls are going to be on the side of it and what's going to be there. Except this time what I'm doing is I'm picking up glass. The black glass is for the monument at the front, well, the stained glass area at the front, and the glass panes, as you can see, are for the actual glass around. The glass panes will make up the absolute majority of glass, because I like the way that the glass panes sit, and I like the way that they do give a little bit of leeway in space. What I'm doing here is I'm actually putting out the foundations for my bedroom, and this is where I will be living on the server at the time, and this is where I'll be living while in the series. So I just need a secure area that can close the door so that no happy zombies can break in, because that's the worst, to wake up and you're getting cuddled by a zombie. So what I'm doing here is I'm just placing the finishing touches, and I start to put a roof on top of my own room, but then I sort of think to it myself and decide against it, as I want it more of an open plan. If it's going to be in sort of a jungle plains biome, I imagine that it'd be quite warm, so to have open air venting throughout the house would probably be a good idea. Here I'm just putting the final glass panes, and then that's the first room totally completed. What I do is I start off down here, but the way that the glass panes interact with the leaves means that unfortunately I have to get rid of the leaves, but it's not too much of a problem because I like the idea of suspended stairs anyway. So I'm just putting up the final foundations with the glass panes and just making them look more like windows, really, which is nothing better because everybody loves windows. So you see that I've left the larger area out in the centre, and you'll find out why in just a short while when I start work on that final monument. I like to leave it out until last, because then it gives me sort of an idea of how much room I've got to play with, and I start to manipulate it now, and I start to shape it now, or at least have a look at it before starting on the main roof area. I don't start the roof until I've actually finished the other glass areas, because it makes no sense to leave a job that you've started half finished, as you can see with this top area. So we've got the roofing area, and we've got the glass panes sorted in this part, so we can then focus on everything else that we need to do. So this is just a quick fly around, just to have a look, and this is where I'm now going to start on this signature piece that I always do for myself. So with the big black glass is I always start off on the far left hand side and make a capital R in every single glass pane, and the capital R stands for Rook. So it's my little signature for my own house and for other houses everywhere. I do signatures for other members of the Corvée crew. I have done signature for Magpie. I don't think I've done one for Jay yet, but yeah, it's not a problem. So we can see that looks much nicer, but I start to put down plain glass at this point, but then upon looking back at it, it doesn't look as good and it doesn't stand out as much as what I'd hoped. As you can see here, it doesn't really look like anything. So what I do is I smash out all the normal plain glass, and I will, as you will see in a second, is I'll go and get myself some nice lilac glass or purple glass, which is the iridescent colour on the Rook's wing. So it just sort of brings out that big black R a little bit more, and it makes it stand out more, and I quite like the purple colouring on it. It makes it look very nice. I might change that at some point, but I'm not too sure, but I do like it at the moment. So what I'm going to start on now is the roof. Now, roofs are particularly my favourite part, as you can do what you like with them. I've chosen here some jungle wood stairs, and I'm sort of checking around and having a look and down and around and seeing what I can do with it and the things that I can do with it. I'm also checking out that balcony, as it's starting to look a little bit strange just sat there by itself, and it doesn't seem right to just have that balcony just sat there. So I might go back and change that at some point, but I'm not quite sure. So I put stairs on every forward block just to keep it consistent. I do like the way that a lot of them sit together and a lot of them look, and I do like to play around with them. At this point though, I'm not really into playing around with the ones on the awkward window, simply because it would just take too long, it would take too much of my time, whereas I would rather get just a base layer set down, and then what I can do is I can continue later on. Here we see I get to the window point and I come back to that later on, but I don't push it all the way across, which I will do on the next level, to give me more of a square roof rather than a triangular roof. I much prefer to sort of tackle difficult situations last and do the most bog standard stuff first, because once that's out of the way you don't have to worry about it and you don't have to wiggle it about and you don't have to change it, which would make it even harder when it gets to the harder stuff that you need to sort out. So what I do here is I start to think maybe a solid roof past my room would look okay, but then I decide against it because it would just look much better with an open plan roof again. I was choosing to put some glass there, but I decided against it in the end. So as you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm extending this forward roof out again and just placing slabs underneath to cover those holes, as it just makes it makes it look more together as a house, really. I'm doing the same with the top, and this will be as far as I'll extend these window panels. What I finally do now is I finish off the final layer, and as you can see I'm coming up to the final layer now of basically what will be the final roof, and this is what I'm choosing to finish the roof on. I won't be extending it any higher than it is at the moment, for the moment, because when it's done and when I do the final flyover, it does look particularly nice as it is, and I do like the way that the house comes out at the very end, which you will see obviously at the end. So I'm just sort of coming around to the final touches now. I was consulting with Magpie at this point what I should do for the final roof and for the final top of the roof, just to cap it off and just to make it look a bit better. We do a flyback just to have a look at it, and what we decide on is we're actually going to turn it into a little miniature garden at the top. So what I do is I place down some dirt blocks, and I fill in the top part of the roof that would be normally bright and light and made of glass, and turn it into dirt. I then will, as you'll see in a second, grab some bone meal and a sapling, and I'll just place the bone meal down and just grow some plants first, just to make it look much more wild, and then place the sapling down in the centre and grow that as well, just to make that look decent. But then as a final finishing touch, Magpie suggested a bench, and so I put a bench down. I had 2 jungle stairs already, so I just placed a little bench so you can sit out and look at the landscape around you and look how beautiful the view is. So what I need to do now is I need to finish off some of the final touches just around the house. I just need to finish off the final glass that's at the back, as you can see there, which I'll fly over and do now. Once the glass is finished, I just need to put some safety and guardrails up, and then in the next episode I need to go around and put torches up and also relocate up to this location that's there now. So I'm just doing a quick fly around just to see what we can do, and yes, this is where we start placing the fences down. So once all the fences are done and everything is done, this is what it looks like, and I have enjoyed making this and I think it's absolutely fantastic. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.